French President Macron and Polish Prime Minister Tusk have just teamed up to publicly humiliate Donald Trump, and you'll want to see what they did because this hurts Trump's ego more than anything else. So in this video, we're going to go over what they just did, but before we get into that, I think it's important that we recap some history between Trump and Macron because they're not exactly the best of friends. So take a look at these clips from a meeting that they both held back in 2019 where you can see them clashing and Trump pretty much not having any idea what they're talking about.
We have a tremendous amount of captured fighters, ISIS fighters over in Syria, and they're all under lock and key, but many are from France, many are from Germany, many are from UK, they're mostly from Europe. And some of the countries are agreeing. I have not spoken to the president about that. Would you like some nice ISIS fighters?
Look,
I can give them to you.
Look at the situation.
You can take everyone you want.
Let's be serious. The very large number of fighters you have on the ground are ISIS fighters coming from Syria, from Iraq, and the region. It is true that you have foreign fighters coming from Europe, but this is a tiny minority of the overall problem we have in the region. And I think number one priority, because it's not yet finished, is to get rid of ISIS and these terrorist groups. This is our number one priority. And it's not yet done. I'm sorry to say that. You still have fighters in this region, in Syria and now in Iraq, and more. And the whole destabilization of the region makes the situation more difficult to fix the situation against ISIS.
This is why he's a great politician, because that was one of the greatest non-answers I've ever heard. And that's okay.
Because sometimes you can have some temptation from the US side, I don't say about President Trump, but could be the press, to say this is the European responsibility. I'm sorry to say that. We have some of our people, but if you don't look at the reality of the situation, that is number one, not to be ambiguous with these groups. This is why we started to discuss about our relations with Turkey. But I think any ambiguity with Turkey vis-à-vis these groups is detrimental to everybody for the situation on the ground.
Sir, Mr. President, Prime Minister Johnson, I believe, is organizing some sort of discussion later today about the Syria conflict. Are you going to take part in that and meet with him? And if not, why?
Are you talking about Ambassador Johnson?
Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister.
Oh, I thought you meant Woody Johnson.
No.
I said, boy, he's really risen rapidly. Woody, where is Woody? Is he here? He's not here. This is his house. I can't believe he's not here. NATO's becoming different than it was, much bigger than it was, and much stronger than it was because people are now fulfilling their commitments. There are some countries that aren't fulfilling their commitment, and those countries are going to be dealt with. Maybe I'll deal with them from a trade standpoint. Maybe I'll deal with them in a different way. I'll work something out where they have to pay. But, we don't want to have people delinquent. I don't think it's fair for us to be involved, including France, by the way, to be involved and you have countries that aren't paying their way. Less than 1%. You have a couple that are less than 1%. Not fair.
This is an issue, and this is a strategic issue. If we just have discussion about what we pay, and we don't have clear discussions about such a situation, we are not serious. We are not serious for our soldiers, we are not serious for our people.
So yeah, Trump clearly does not know a single thing about foreign policy, and keep in mind, that clip was in 2019 where he had almost 3 years to learn and still came across as an absolute fool. But that's enough of the past. Let's talk about what happened today, because French President Macron and Polish Prime Minister Tusk have just teamed up to publicly humiliate Donald Trump. So take a look at this video. Now the clip is originally quite short, so I did end up playing it twice so that way you could see what was going on. But this is basically them mocking Donald Trump for his handshakes. This was actually posted to Twitter, where Tusk said, "Handshakes with Donalds are usually quite a challenge." Now his name is also Donald, so he's sort of playing off the fact that, maybe he's not the best with handshakes, but also he's clearly pointing out Donald Trump and his absurd handshakes. Now the reason why this is significant right now is because Trump recently met with Macron, where he went in for a very strong and dominating handshake. Just take a look at this. You can see just how uncomfortable that was for Macron, not only because Trump was gripping him as hard as he could, but also because it's just awkward. He even tried signaling that he was done, but Trump just still held on. Now here's the thing, Trump supporters will say that this was a huge power move and it shows how strong of a leader Trump is, but to those of us not in a cult, it's very clear that this is a move that only an insecure person would make. The point of a handshake is to welcome and be friendly, not try to dominate the other person. And clearly the rest of the world understands this, which is what led to this amazing video of Macron and Tusk mocking Trump. It's just so sad to see how Trump supporters think that we should be dominating over everyone like that's a good thing. That is a very quick way to make a lot of enemies, and it looks like this is only the very beginning of what's to come.